Today I want to make this video on the Svantek 973 Class 2 sound meter and the SV34B calibrator for this meter. A lot of this would apply to the 971 sound meter as well, the Class 1 version of the meter. So we have the calibrator here. One thing you'd want to do is take this top part off, these unscrew, and you put the batteries in it when you first receive it. So I'll put this aside for now, and we're going to get into the sound meter itself. So the meter on the back of it, you have a location that you could screw in a tripod if you want to mount it that way. There's also indication of how the batteries go into the meter. This silver piece here gets unscrewed. The batteries go in as labeled here. There's also a USB connection here on the bottom, which is kind of hard to see, but you can program and download the meter that way as well if you'd like. So let's get into actually turning the meter on and setting it up. You'll see there's a keypad that we have start and stop. So that's a start and stop a run. We have a shift key, left and right, up and down, an enter key and escape. So, and actually, if you use the escape and the enter key together, you'll get into the menu. And down here at the bottom, if you hit the shift and the start and stop at the same time, that turns the meter on and off. So if we hold these down for a couple seconds and then release them, we should see the meter start to boot up. So we'll let that boot up. I'm going to take off the windscreen for now. We'll need to take the windscreen off to calibrate, but anytime you're using the meter, you would normally have the windscreen installed. So right now I'm getting real-time readings, and on the display I can see LAS. So L is for sound, the sound level. A is the filter that's being used, and it's on slow right now. So this would be a typical setup for occupational health and safety recording, at least in Canada. This little block up here on top, it shows that the meter is not running. It's kind of like the old tape recorders that means stop. And when we actually start a run, there'll be a little arrow or triangular type thing that shows that it's running. The battery level here and the time, and then our real-time level in decibels. So I want to go into the menu first and make sure we have everything set up correctly. One of the first things you want to go to is go down to Instrument and User Interface. The meter can run in three different modes, a very basic start and stop mode, or a simple mode, or an advanced mode. For most applications for occupational health and safety, simple would probably be the one to use, so I'll select that. I can come back out of there. I'll also go down to power off. So this is basically if I don't hit the start and stop button to start a run or start a session, the meter would time out after 20 minutes and shut down to save the battery. I could change that to 10 minutes. There's lots of different settings, so maybe I'll change this to 10 just to show you. And the next thing I'd want to go to is RTC, which stands for real-time clock. If I go into this, I want to make sure the date and time are correct, and they are, but if not, I can use the keys to make that match, or I can connect this to the computer and sync up the time and date that way with the free software. So the next part of the menu I want to go into is function, and I'll go into measurement function. So I've got this set as a level meter only, but in this meter, I've got octoband options, so I could turn those on as well. Also built in is a dosimeter function, so I could choose dosimeter plus the octoband if I wanted to. You'll also see RT60, which is a setup for reverberation time measurement. And STIPA is a setting more for, say, in public address system to determine how well someone can make out how intelligible the speech is. So they're fairly specialized applications. So for our applications for occupational health and safety, I'm just going to use the level meter only for this basic setup video. So I'll choose that. I'll go into calibration, and the first one by measurement, my calibrator, my Svantek calibrator, the SV34B, is 114 decibels, and it says it right here on the calibrator. There are some dual calibrator units as well, but 114 is what I'm going to be using. I can also go in here and look at the last calibration, the calibration history. I can clear the history, but another important one may be post-calibration. I can exit out of there. The next thing I would go into is the measurement function. So I'll go down to measurement and my general settings. This start sync would be I'd synchronize to the nearest minute or 15 minutes or half an hour, but usually 1 minute is good. So if you're looking at the table of data that it's every 1 minute and just the data looks cleaner. The integration period, I've got it on infinity, but if I wanted to take a measurement over 8 hours, I could do that, or I could do it over 1 hour. Um, but if I'm not sure how long I'm going to be measuring, I would leave it on infinity and it'll just integrate over whatever time the meter's running. So I can exit out of that. And it's going to ask me if I want to save those changes. Yes. The next would be profiles. So in the meter, there's actually three profiles. And for these measurements for occupational health and safety, we would normally use an A filter, which is a filter that is closest to the way your ear hears things now. The peak filter is set for C, and the detector is slow. And these are also associated with ACGIH values for measurement of occupational health and safety. So we can see this was filter 1 and peak filter 2, detector 1. Now I can go into profile 2, the A filter, C peak filter, and I've got this set for impact, but I could change it to fast or I could change it to slow. So it's basically like having three sound meters in one that all give results. So, and there's also, I'll go down to the third filter or third profile and all the settings for that. Now I want to go into logging and I want to make sure that the logger is turned on and I can name this logger. I could put a name to define what the logger is set up as. And that's the main things we'd set up in that section called measurement. If I go into display, now I could turn off or on things that I may or may not want to see on the screen. I want to have that's running sound pressure level. I might not want the file information, so I would just turn that off or on. One idea may be to turn on a lot of these features that you have in these sessions or these sections, and then turn them off as you go, as you realize you do or don't need them. So if I exit out of this, I go into display scale. Probably one most important thing in here would be to set it to auto scale, so it'll automatically set the scale for you. The spectrum view. Again, you could play around with these and see if it's of interest and turn them off or turn them on as needed. Okay. Now from there, let's actually do a calibration. So I've got the windscreen removed. I'll turn on the calibrator, put that on top, and I want to put that straight in. I don't want to move it around too much. It's a fairly tight fit. Now we could see this real-time display. We're approaching 114 decibels. It should realize that the calibrator's on. Takes a couple seconds. Now it's starting the calibration automatically. I'll let it go through this. Okay, so we've got our calibration. Okay, I'll take this off. And now I can actually start a run. So I'll let this come back down. And my real-time reading again is LAS, so sound level, A filter, slow. This is a real-time reading, but I can see that I'm not actually running just yet, that the white block there, it's not. And watch this as I hit start and stop. I'll hit it once. Now it's synchronizing. You can see this little arrow, it's getting ready to start. I would put the windscreen on and mount or either walk around with this or leave it in a certain area, depending on the application. Okay, so we're getting a reading now, and you can see that LAEQ. So it's It is integrating the sound levels now. If I want to go through the different screens, I just hit escape. And now I actually have all three profiles displayed. So the top one I can go through. I can see the LC peak. I can see lots of different readings. And if I go, so that's profile one. If I go to down one, it switched to profile two, and I can go through the readings because I may have different filter values and I may have it set to fast or impact rather than slow. So these are our profile one, two, and three display. And this is a real-time chart, and that's right now it's on P2. If I hit enter, we can go back to P1 and we can kind of see as this trends. This is the logger file information, time and date, and this file size, and then back to our LEQ. So there's different displays you can go through here. If I go to LAS, so this is I'm back to a real-time reading here. If I wanted to walk around while it's doing, or if I wanted to see the real-time readings as it's doing the integration. So when I'm done, I can hit stop. So I'll hit the stop button and that changes to from that arrow to the white block saying that it stopped. And I could look at the results I'm looking at the results basically as I'm going through. I can look at the results on this. Now I could connect this to the free software and download the details. I can do a post calibration. So I would take this off. I can put the calibrator back on. I want to make sure that the calibration still hasn't shifted very much over that time to make sure like maybe the meter was damaged somewhere along the way. The calibrator would pick that up saying that, okay, there's been a shift and is your data actually accurate or not? So you can do that post calibration and it will record, depending on if you have it set up to do that, it'll record it so you could download it in a report that you've done that post calibration. When I'm ready to turn the meter off, I just hold down these two buttons. It's going to ask, do you want to turn it off? I hit yes, or the enter button, and now the meter shut down.